Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. A day after PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti indicates her party is willing to form the government with BJP in Jammu and Kashmir, BJP leaders say state can't be kept waiting for long without a government. Missionaries of Charity in Kolkata mourned the death of an Indian nun in Yemen. Victim was among 16 people who were killed by gunmen in an attack in the port city of Aden. President Pranab Mukherjee and Vice President Mohammad Habib Ansari make a strong pitch for women's empowerment, call for the passage of the Women Reservation Bill. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley addresses second edition of Gyan Sangam, unveils roadmap for consolidation in public sector banks. And China braces for tough economic times ahead, sets a lower growth rate of 6.5% to 7%. Premier Li Keqiang says that he'll lay out a new national development blueprint over the next 5 years. Our top story this evening, after a suspense of 2 months, PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti has hinted at going ahead with forming a government with the BJP. Mehbooba said that she is not afraid of criticism over her decision to join hands with the BJP. The BJP welcomed her remarks, saying that the state can't afford to remain without a government for too long.
After maintaining silence on the issue for many weeks, PDP President Mehbooba Mufti on Friday finally stated that she was ready to join hands with the BJP again to form a government in Jammu and Kashmir. Mehbooba's comments came during a meeting with her party activists in Jammu.
मुफ्ती साहब ने जिस मकसद के लिए इतना बड़ा फैसला किया, अगर वो मकसद मुद्दा पूरा होता है तो मुझे कोई फिक्र नहीं है कि लोग जो हैं वो मुझे बीजेपी के साथ जाने के लिए उनको अच्छा लगे बुरा लगे. अगर लोगों का फायदा होता है कोई बात नहीं.
Jammu and Kashmir has been without a government since the death of Mehbooba's father and former Chief Minister Mufti Muhammad Saeed.
तो अगर मुझे कभी लगा कि ऐसा है, उन लोगों के दिल में इतनी जगह है कि वो जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों के हित में जो हमने एक खाका खींचा है, उस खाके में वो रंग भरने के लिए तैयार है, मुझे कोई आपत्ति नहीं है. इस रियासत का चीफ मिनिस्टर बनना तो बहुत ही धन्य का काम है.
The PDP has put some conditions before the BJP. These are believed to include the withdrawal of the controversial Armed Forces Special Powers Act from some areas in Kashmir and handing some central projects to the state. Senior BJP leader and the state's former Deputy Chief Minister Nirbal Singh says the state cannot be kept waiting for long without a government.
I think without losing time, we must go ahead with that agenda of alliance for the implementation of that, because the people of Jammu Kashmir has mandated that. They want us to form the government.
देखिए, पीडीपी के साथ तो पहले ही हम सरकार में थे. मुफ्ती मोहम्मद सईद साहब जब हयात से थे तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी और पीडीपी की वहां सरकार थी और एजेंडा हमारा साफ था, जम्मू कश्मीर का विकास. हमारे तरफ से कोई बदलाव नहीं हुआ है, उनकी तरफ से जरूर देरी हुई है और मिल बैठकर सारे समस्या का हल हो सकता है.
Opposition parties, however, expressed skepticism about the statements coming in from both sides.
ये रियासत के हित में होगा और अगर केंद्र अपनी गंभीरता दिखाए तो, लेकिन इफ्स एंड बट्स के लिए गवर्नमेंट फॉर्मेशन में कोई जगह नहीं है. आपको स्पष्ट शब्दों में ये बताना है कि क्या आप सरकार बनाने के लिए तैयार हैं या आप सरकार नहीं बनाना चाहते हैं.
अब उनके बीच के दोनों के बीच का मामला है, पीडीपी और बीजेपी के बीच में, और इस पर अभी मेरा बोलना ठीक नहीं है.
The PDP and the BJP formed a government last year after the state produced a fractured verdict. The PDP bagged 27 seats, followed by 25 for the BJP in the 87-member state legislature in the December 2014 elections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Making a strong pitch for women's empowerment, President Pranab Mukherjee and Vice President Mohammad Habib Ansari on Saturday called for the passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. President Mukherjee said it was a sad commentary on India that since the first general election in 1952, we have not been able to ensure women's representation in Parliament over 12%.
The President was speaking at the inauguration of the first ever Women Legislators Conference, which opened in New Delhi today at the initiative of Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan. Congress President Sonia Gandhi didn't attend the conference, despite being the lead speaker at the plenary session, along with External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the inauguration of the two-day conference today, but didn't speak.
We have already mentioned, India has about 12% representation of women in the parliament and ranks 109th amongst the 190 countries which have been enumerated in that list. United Nations has declared that in the International Women's Day of 2016 as Planet 50-50 by 2030, step it off for gender equality.
Making a strong pitch for women's empowerment, President Pranab Mukherjee and Vice President Hamid Ansari called for the passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. President Mukherjee said it was a sad commentary on India that since the first general election in 1952, we have not been able to ensure women's representation in Parliament over 12%.
The state of affairs in the Indian Parliament in respect of a representation of the women, which constitute almost 50% of Indian population. Never, since the first general election in 1952 till date, we have not been able to ensure the representation of the women, not more than 12%. It's a sad commentary on us.
The President urged the government to bring the Women's Quota Bill, saying we will do a great job if we try and revive the Women Reservation Bill in Parliament. Earlier in his address, Vice President Hamid Ansari critiqued political parties for the absence of women in important parliamentary panels.
There are just 2 women members in the 3 financial committees out of their total strength of 74 members. The department-related Standing Committee on Finance does not have a single woman member, while the Committee on Railways has only 1. The Committee on Home Affairs has got 2 women members, whereas the Committee on Defence has 4. In contrast, however, the Joint Committee on Empowerment of Women has 28 members out of the total strength of 30 members, constituting a whopping 93%.
The Vice President also referred to steps taken in some states to introduce educational qualifications as a condition to contest panchayat elections. Measures, he said, are loaded against women.
The introduction of statutory requirement of meeting new eligibility conditions such as certain levels of education, number of children or other criteria to fight panchayat elections in many states is loaded against women. This calls for serious reflection.
Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan, who organized the meet, said there was no formal plan to bring a resolution on the issue.
कैसे विशिष्ट अधिकारों से संपन्न महिलाओं का यह शक्तिशाली समूह सशक्त गौरवशाली भारत के निर्माण में एक अग्रणी नई और प्रभावी भूमिका निभा सकते हैं। इस सत्र के बाद मुख्य सत्र और फिर 3 विशेष सत्रों में यह सम्मेलन इस पर गहन विचार विमर्श करेगा कि देश के सामाजिक आर्थिक विकास और विधायन लेजिस्लेशन अभिशासन गवर्नेंस ये सभी महत्वपूर्ण आयामों में महिला जनप्रतिनिधि कैसे अपनी भूमिका का पुनराविष्कार करते हुए एक नई दृष्टि एक नई प्रेरणा और संकल्प से संपन्न हो सकती है।
Other speakers at the meet included Union Minister Sushma Swaraj and Najma Heptullah. The conference is being attended by 300 women MLAs, MLCs, MPs, union ministers and chief ministers. It is aimed at equipping women legislators from across India with the latest knowledge in relevant areas. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
BJP President Amit Shah today launched a scathing attack on Congress and its Vice President Rahul Gandhi on the JNU controversy. He said the Congress should be ashamed of supporting what he called anti-nationals. Shah was addressing the National Convention of BJP's youth wing, the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha in Mathura. BJP President alleged that anti-national elements were being portrayed as patriots, while asking Congress President Sonia Gandhi to clarify her stand on the JNU row. Amit Shah also expressed confidence the BJP will remain in power at the centre for the next 25 years.
देश में एक अजीब प्रकार की बहस छिड़ी। राष्ट्रद्रोही नारों को अभिव्यक्ति की स्वतंत्रता के कपड़े पहनाने का एक प्रयास हो और शर्म आनी चाहिए कांग्रेस पार्टी को। कांग्रेस पार्टी के उपाध्यक्ष वहां जाकर कहते हैं इनको सुनना चाहिए, इनको बोलने देना चाहिए, इनको अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी। मैं पूछता हूं सारे कार्यकर्ता को, आप इसको अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी मानते हैं क्या? जोर से मुझे मानते हैं? मित्रों, अगर ये नारे अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी है तो देशद्रोह क्या हो सकता है? कांग्रेस के राष्ट्रीय उपाध्यक्ष इस नारों को अगर अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी मानते हैं तो कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष ने स्पष्टता करनी चाहिए कि वो इनके साथ सहमत है या नहीं।
Now, kick-starting the election campaign in poll-bound Assam, Rahul Gandhi attacked Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a rally at Nagaon today. In fact, the Congress Vice President said that the Modi government had failed to deliver on promises. He also repeated his fair and lovely jibe at the Prime Minister, saying that instead of bringing back black money, the Prime Minister was helping people who amassed illegal wealth. Assembly elections for 126 seats in Assam are scheduled for the 4th and the 11th of April.
मोदी जी आए, कहा मैं ये दूंगा, वो करूंगा, ये करूंगा, बहुत अच्छी मार्केटिंग हुई, प्रोडक्ट कुछ नहीं था उसके अंदर। आज तक हिंदुस्तान रिफंड मांग रहा है, घूमा फिर रहा है, भैया हमें रिफंड दो, रिफंड दो।
Now, the government today said it had a very good sense of the problem of the bad loans in the banking sector. Addressing the second edition of the Gyan Sangam, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said, and Minister of State for Finance, Jayant Sinha, said that they will continue to provide funds to strengthen state-owned banks. The second edition of the two-day retreat will outline the reform agenda for the coming year for state-owned banks. It follows Finance Minister Jaitley's budget statement that the government will unveil a roadmap for consolidation in public sector banks.
I think one of the most important issues is that in the current global environment, the banks have to take all the measures in order to clean up their books by effecting recoveries. Now the bankers themselves have, in the Gyan Sangam, when they met by themselves, have strongly supported the idea. You need strong banks rather than numerically a larger number.
Time for us to take a short break. That's lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries. Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, an Indian nun is among 16 people who were killed by gunmen in an attack in the Yemeni port city of Aden. The nun belonged to the Missionaries of Charity in Kolkata.
An Indian nun from the Missionaries of Charity in Kolkata is among the 4 nuns killed in an attack in the Yemeni port of Aden. They were among the 16 people who were killed when gunmen attacked an old people's home. The 4 attackers told a guard they were on a visit to their mother, then stormed into the home and opened fire with rifles. The dead also include 2 Yemeni women staff, 8 elderly residents and a guard. Earlier, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Vikas Swarup tweeted, clarifying that 1 Indian nurse, Cecilia Mins, was killed. The clarification came as an earlier tweet by the External Affairs Minister had said that 4 Indian nurses were killed. Minister Sushma Swaraj asked all Indians living in danger zones to return home. She also said that nurses stayed back in Yemen, ignoring advisories by the government.
News is really shocking. The details that I get is that it happened at 8:30 in the morning, local time, while the sisters were serving breakfast. And there were 5 sisters. One of them is the superior, who wasn't located by the gunmen. But the other 4 were serving at the same time, and they were shot.
The gunmen fled after the attack. Their motive is not known yet. This is not the first time the Missionaries of Charity nuns were targeted. They also came under attack in Yemen in 1998 when gunmen killed 3 nuns in the Red Sea port city of Hodeidah.
बहुत दुर्भाग्य घटना है। ये नर्सेज वहाँ लड़ाई के बीच में काम कर रही थीं और अपनी मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी समझते हुए ये वापस नहीं आई और वहाँ ओल्ड होम के लिए लोगों के लिए काम कर रही थीं। और अफसोस की बात यह है कि इनको आतंकवादियों ने इनको भी नहीं छोड़ा।
In the wake of escalation of violence, the Indian embassy in Yemen's capital Sana'a was closed last year, and all its functions were carried out from a camp office in Djibouti, a country neighboring Yemen and across the Red Sea. Al-Qaeda and the IS have been stepping up attacks in Aden. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's now take a look at some more national news and updates in Nationwide. The All India Mahila Congress today staged a protest outside the BJP headquarters in New Delhi, demanding an immediate rollback of the tax on Employees' Provident Fund. The protesting members said the central government's proposal to make Provident Fund taxable shows an insensitive mindset towards the working class. The body of former Meghalaya Chief Minister and former Lok Sabha Speaker P.S. Sangma was brought to his native place at Tura, where his funeral will take place on Monday. At the Tura airport and along the way till his house, thousands of people gathered to have a final glimpse of their leader. The former Lok Sabha Speaker died at his residence in New Delhi yesterday. Budget for 2016-17 will be the main agenda in the Andhra Pradesh legislature session beginning here on Saturday, but many other contentious issues are expected to dominate the proceedings given the ongoing political fight between the ruling Telugu Desam and the opposition YSR Congress. Governor ESL Narasimhan addressed the joint session of the Legislative Council and the Legislative Assembly for the first time. Now, India has filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization against the United States over its decision to impose high fees on temporary working visas, mostly involving the tech sector. India's response came after the US raised fees for temporary visas early in December. As a result, few Indians receive unfair treatment compared to Americans in providing similar services in sectors like computer services. The US was quick to respond as it said its visa program was recently updated on a bipartisan basis by Congress and is fully compliant with WTO obligations. The WTO will make further information available in the coming days. Now, despite stiff opposition from India as well as top US lawmakers, the Obama administration has formally published federal notification for the sale of 8 F-16 fighter jets to Pakistan. The notification states the proposed sale contributes to US foreign policy objectives and national security goals. The total cost of these F-16s is estimated to be nearly $700 million. India has opposed the deal, saying it disagrees with Washington's rationale that such arms transfer will help combat terror. In the US, Republican Senator Rand Paul asked Senate colleagues to join him in opposing the sale of the F-16s to Pakistan. In fact, another congressman moved a resolution in the House of Representatives to express disapproval over the arms deal with Pakistan. Faced by an economic slowdown, China has set a lower growth rate for 2016. At the National People's Congress this year, Premier Li Keqiang announced a target of 6.5% to 7% consumer inflation at around 3% and unemployment within 4.5%. Last year, China's goal was about 7%, but the economy actually grew by 6.9%, the lowest expansion in 25 years.
At the 12th National People's Congress in Beijing, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang releasing a modest growth target in the range of 6.5% to 7%. Not only acknowledging the current economic slowdown, Li also warned of a difficult battle ahead.
今年发展的主要预期目标是国内生产总值增长6.5%到7%。综合分析各方面情况，今年我国发展面临的困难更多更大。
Li also laid out the new 5-year plan that maps out the national development blueprint for the next 5 years.
国内生产总值和城乡居民人均收入比2010年翻一番。 “十三五”时期经济年均增长保持在综合分析。
Military spending has been increased by 7.6%, the lowest increase in over 6 years. But at the same time, Li pledged to protect China's maritime rights amid disputes in the East and South China Seas and improve intelligence gathering.
要紧紧围绕党在新形势下的强军目标，深入推进政治建军。 改革强军，依法治军。
On the Taiwan issue, Li said China is committed to maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now on Global Buzz. Nearly 30,000 migrants remain stranded on the Greece-Macedonia border after the closure of the Balkan corridor. The refugees, mainly from war-torn Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan, have been sleeping in freezing temperatures. The European Council President Donald Tusk warned economic migrants not to come to Europe. Another US Republican, Ben Carson, officially ended his campaign for the presidential nomination for 2016 elections. A retired neurosurgeon, Carson was a frontrunner when he began his campaign, but he chose to withdraw following a series of dismal performances. Meanwhile, Republican frontrunner Donald Trump has been campaigning extensively. At a rally in New Orleans, he was interrupted by protesters, due to which he veered from his speech several times. Turkish forces raided the offices of Zaman, the country's biggest newspaper, Friday night, hours after a court ruling placed it under state control. The police entered the building in Istanbul, firing tear gas at protesters who had gathered outside. Zaman is closely linked to the Hizmet movement of influential US-based cleric Fethullah Gulen. Turkey says Hizmet is a terrorist group aiming to overthrow President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's government. Former Brazilian President Lula da Silva was briefly detained for questioning on Friday in a federal investigation of a vast corruption scheme. He was questioned by the police, making it the highest profile development in the 2-year-old graft probe centered on the state oil company Petrobras. The scam has rocked Brazil's political and business establishment and threatens to tarnish the legacy of Brazil's most powerful politician. Some sports now, and in news from cricket, giant killers Bangladesh will take on T20 champions India in the final of the Asia Cup in Bangladesh on Sunday. Here's a look at what to expect from the match tomorrow.
An unbeaten Indian side takes on Bangladesh in the Asia Cup T20 finals on Sunday. But the hosts have vastly improved their winning statistics, winning 3 matches in a row. Both sides will play a rematch of the opening encounter of the series, in which India beat Bangladesh by 45 runs. Bangladesh has managed to withstand the onslaught of big opponents like Sri Lanka and Pakistan in the series. And the team is confident of giving India a tough fight in the finals.
India অনেক স্ট্রং টিম বাট আমরা যেভাবে লাস্ট 3টা ম্যাচ খেলেছি কনফিডেন্সটা আমাদের সাথে আছে প্লাস ফ্লো আমরা খুব সুন্দর একটা ফ্লোতে আছি নো ডাউট ইন্ডিয়া খুবই স্ট্রং টিম বাট আমাদেরকে যদি ওদের সাথে জিততে হয় আমাদের তিনটা ডিপার্টমেন্টে 100% হইতে হবে আর
India's victory over UAE on Thursday was the biggest ever win for the men in blue in the T20 format. Virat Kohli will be crucial to India's hopes alongside Jasprit Bumrah and R. Ashwin. Kohli has been in a terrific form with the bat, while Bumrah and Ashwin have been the pick of the bowlers.
We are the #1 team in the world in T20 cricket. It's been a gradual process, but it's been a very enjoyable one. And let's hope we show that kind of cricket in the final as well tomorrow. Our job is to go and play in whatever conditions we are offered, because you realize very quickly that there's not one team playing there. Both teams have to play on that surface. So it's fair play.
The final will be a battle between a team full of T20 specialists against a team that has learned to consistently punch above its weight. With 9 wins out of 10, the Indian momentum has only been growing ever since the start of the T20 series against Australia. The final contest looks set to be an interesting one, especially given the fact that Bangladesh has often turned around matches in their favour. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
That's all from us. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to India's World. You may hear in it, it's just the